From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Trouble on the mountain, how a skier is recovering after a chairlift accident in Red Lodge, and how that's impacting the slopes today.
So we really focus on one survivor at a time.
Finding a worthy home, what a nonprofit ranch needs to bring a safe space to the Billings area.
Fish, Wildlife and Parks has spent some time there in the Crazies looking at the elk population. I'm Chet Lehman. Coming up, we talk with Fish, Wildlife and Parks about its yearly elk brucellosis testing and what the results were this year in the Crazies.
All these stories and more to come. Good morning and welcome to Montana This Morning on this Tuesday, March 11th. I'm Augusta McDonnell here with Miller Robson.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Augusta.
Good morning. Happy Tuesday, everybody. We've still got spring-like conditions in our forecast.
Yeah, warm 50s and 60s, maybe some areas flirting with the 70s by the time we get to tomorrow and Thursday, and then we'll see some changes on Friday. Let's take a step back in time yesterday and look at that, 62. What a good 15 degrees above the norm. Our low of 30, about 5 degrees above average. Yesterday, big story, of course, the winds. We had a top gust officially at the airport at 52. I'm sure some areas down around Billings got a little stronger than that. It was a dry day yesterday. So for the month, we're in the hole, but for the year, pacing ahead in the hole for the month for snow, but looking pretty good for the season. These are our different reports that came in. Just reports. I'm sure there's others out there that haven't reported yet, but this is where we stand right now. And I've got a full list of reported wind gusts yesterday on my Facebook page, meteorologist Miller Robson, but just a few spots here near 60 in Moult had a gust of 52 in Livingston, Red Lodge 52, Big Timber a gust of 60. Over in Miles City we had a gust over 50 miles an hour. So definitely breezy moving forward. Still along the western foothills could see some strong gusts, 20, 30, 40 miles an hour. Cody foothills could have gust over 50 today. We just had a gust of 23 there in Livingston. Right now as we wake up, pretty seasonal, a little warmer than average, but a lot cooler than it was yesterday at this time. 28 feels like 17, winds out of the southwest at about 15 miles an hour. 20s and 30s as we wake up this morning. A little bit of snow, northern parts of Rosebud into Miles City right now, but mainly dry until we get to Thursday, Friday. We'll take a look at a reason why we could see some rain and snow coming up.
All right, Miller, thanks for tracking that. Much to come, lots of changes in the forecast and more on that wind now. Scary moments on Red Lodge Mountain yesterday, all caused by an erratic wind gust. One man had to be airlifted to St. Vincent Regional Hospital following an accident on the chairlift late Monday morning. The incident is leading to changes on the mountain later today. Let's take a look at this. Here's some video of the triple chairlift being evacuated. It's not exactly clear what happened, but mountain officials say the patient was transferred by ambulance to the hospital in Red Lodge, then flown to Billings. Red Lodge Mountain confirms that it was due to high winds, and the triple chair will be shut down this morning, Tuesday morning, as they continue to investigate. Another of the mountain's lifts, Willow Creek, has also been shut down for a week or more due to mechanical problems. That means there's currently no lift to get to mid-mountain and beyond. Even so, at this point, Red Lodge Mountain has not indicated they plan to halt operations today. This year's lift problems come on the heels of a settlement involving a 2020 incident at Red Lodge Mountain. Two men claimed their chair detached from the Willow Creek lift. The men, one from Montana and another from Colorado, claim they mounted a chair on the Willow Creek lift on December 5th of that year of 2020, that lift detaching from the hull rope. Both men were injured from the fall. One suffered a concussion, the other ended up with a separated shoulder. The plaintiffs alleged negligence, while Red Lodge Mountain told MTN the detachment occurred when one of the rider's snowboard edges caught while attempting to load, causing the chair to twist and detach while the men were still on the ground. No terms of that settlement have yet been announced. And the latest now, we've learned a second person has died in a two-car crash that happened near Laurel last week. The victim, a 16-year-old girl, passed away over the weekend in the hospital. Here's the details of that incident. The Montana Highway Patrol says the teen was the driver of a Nissan Sentra from El Paso, Texas. Police say she was driving west and came to a stop at the intersection of 72nd Street and Niebauer Road on March 2nd. When she began to cross the road, her vehicle was struck by a Hummer, where the occupants of the car were uninjured. As we first reported, a 56-year-old, also from Texas, previously died in this crash. Investigators say speed and alcohol are not considered to be factors. In less than a decade, human trafficking in Montana increased by 2,000%. It's a growing issue many organizations are working to prevent, including one moving to the Billings area. The Worthy Ranch, a nonprofit offering support to survivors, is making an impact despite still looking for a place to call home. Our Charlie Kleps reports.
Human trafficking and domestic abuse can happen anywhere in Montana. And for one woman, her nightmare came true here on Broadwater Avenue nearly 3 decades ago.
My attack happened 27 years ago.
The stories are endless.
I was attacked from behind.
Stories of trauma, abuse, and trafficking represented by these blue ribbons along Montana Avenue.
I put up quite a hell of a fight, but he was able to pull me between two businesses on Broadwater.
For Julia Lilithune, her nightmare happened here on Broadwater Avenue early in the morning after finishing a paper route.
And I was viciously attacked and raped and stabbed several times and left for dead.
That was 30 years ago, but she's still struggling to move on even today.
For the longest time, I just stuffed it. I just felt like I was walking around aimlessly.
Lilithune's struggle is an example of a problem that's seen exponential growth in Montana the past decade.
I don't even think that I understood how much it happens in Montana until I moved here.
Heather Estes, the founder of the Worthy Ranch, a nonprofit hoping to provide a safe space for victims, says Montana has become a hub.
The freeways that run straight to borders, the reservations, the vulnerable population that is here. It's sad, but that's the reality, that it's here in our backyard.
And that's why Estes moved here in 2019, hoping to use her program, which focuses on self-worth, career development, and equine therapy like this at Angel Horses, to make a difference.
Our goal is to get that program up and running here locally within this next year.
Currently, they're collecting donations and looking for their own land. The past couple years, it's been a pilot program already making an impact.
Our recent program, the pilot, helped 10 survivors here locally.
And you feel seen and heard and believed.
Lilithune is one of those 10 who says the Worthy Ranch has helped give her back her life.
I needed a purpose, and it helped me identify my core values.
In Billings, Charlie Kleps, MTN News.
Charlie, thanks so much. And the trial into a 2023 fatal shooting outside America's Wild West nightclub in Billings set to get underway this week. Xavier Buffalo, who was 18 at the time, is facing a charge of deliberate homicide in the death of 21-year-old Beau Harlan Beaumont. Buffalo is accused of shooting Beaumont following a fight at the bar off of Southgate Drive. The trial is expected to last around 1 week. We'll be tracking that case as it evolves. And there are growing concerns around the DOJ cuts on government offices here in Montana. In one such example, the U.S. Geological Survey office in Bozeman is slated for closure. Now a former Fish and Wildlife Service employee is speaking out about the proposed cut. MTN's Cassidy Powers heard his concerns.
By now you may have heard DOJ is set to shut down multiple Montana government offices. One of them being Bozeman's U.S. Geological Survey's Northern Rocky Mountain Science Center, and it's located in that building you see right there behind me. But something that hasn't been talked about a lot yet is what the outcome of these closures could look like.
These people aren't sitting around playing cards all day. They're doing things for us, for the people who live in Montana.
Since the news came to light last week, many people have expressed concerns regarding DOJ shutting down at least 12 Montana government facilities. For Chris Servine, a retired Fish and Wildlife Service employee of 35 years, he is especially concerned with the future of U.S. Geological Survey's Northern Rocky Mountain Science Center, or NOROC.
I have a lot of worry about what does that mean for all those scientists there. If you shut down their offices, what happens to the people?
Although Chris never worked directly with NOROC, he was the grizzly bear recovery coordinator for Fish and Wildlife Services. He understands how important the research done at their facility is.
Those scientists contribute a tremendous amount to the management and conservation of wildlife and natural systems in not only in Montana, but in multiple areas of the Northern Rockies.
Some work done at NOROC includes research on invasive species such as zebra mussels and brucellosis, researching climate change, monitoring the status and health of the grizzly bear population in the greater Yellowstone ecosystem, and more, which is why one of Chris's biggest concerns...
The people that are making these cuts have no idea about all these issues that we face in Montana, but our congressional delegation supposedly does. So why aren't they speaking up and say, hey, wait a minute, this can't happen?
Last week, a spokesperson with Congressman Ryan Zinke sent me a statement regarding Doge cuts. Part of that statement read, paying for empty buildings is not in the best interest of Montana taxpayers. Similar statements were made by Senator Steve Daines at a recent press conference. Chris's response to that?
Well, the USGS office in Bozeman is on the campus there of MSU, and it's not empty, it's full.
I reached out to both Bozeman offices that are on Doge's chopping block, No Rock, as well as the Bozeman Fish Health Center. I have yet to hear back from either agency. So there are still a lot of unanswered questions about who is in these buildings and what their future holds. But Chris says if you aren't at least a little bit concerned like him,
well, if you don't care, then you don't care about healthy wildlife in Montana. You don't care about healthy streams and healthy fisheries. I would ask people that if they don't care about any of those things, then why do they live in Montana?
Chris tells me if you do care,
what the public needs to do is contact their congressional delegation and say, where are you guys? Why don't you speak up and help us out?
In Bozeman, Cassidy Powers, MTN News.
Cassidy, thanks so much. And the city of Billings officially celebrated the opening of a new Amazon delivery station yesterday. The new distribution hub already brought 100 jobs to Billings and is now the second in the state. Although the facility opened in October, the ribbon was finally cut Monday, located on the west end. The new facility, e-Center, will be processing around 19,000 boxes a day, and workers say it's been a whirlwind couple of months already, and they're excited for what the facility can bring.
It is an improvement because by having a warehouse here, we're able to have the packages shipped here to this site, and then we process them through behind us and take them out and have the delivery drivers take them to the people's homes. And it makes it so that it's a lot faster and a lot more efficient, and we can give the kind of quality and service that we want to do at Amazon.
The service has 57 vans, with 43 usually running at one time. On Monday alone, they delivered 8,000 packages. Coming up in about 15 minutes, what the company has in store to potentially bring more jobs to the area. And a brucellosis infection can be costly to cattle herds. That's why the Montana Department of Fish, Wildlife and Parks tests elk, which can carry the disease. As MTN's Chet Lehman found out, much of this winter's testing was done in the Crazy Mountains.
The Montana Department of Fish, Wildlife and Parks has spent part of the winter capturing and testing elk for brucellosis. That program has been going on for years. This winter, their efforts took place in the Crazies. This year, 52 elk captured and tested.
We're glad to see that all of those elk that were tested negative for brucellosis exposure.
Now, brucellosis can cause cattle to abort their calves if in cattle herds. So this testing is important for more than just FWP.
The goal of it is to help us better understand the presence of brucellosis in elk and how those elk commingle with cattle in different places.
The study of these elk didn't end with the blood test. Some of those captured will provide information to FWP for the next year.
We also put out a number of GPS collars, which helps us monitor elk movements throughout the year. Helps us better understand what their summer and winter ranges look like, and how that sometimes may overlap with livestock or with other things on the landscape.
Over the years, elk in the Tobacco Roots, the Highlands, the Pioneers, and the area around Ashland, Montana have all been tested for brucellosis as a part of FWP's yearly brucellosis testing program. In the Shields River Valley, in the shadow of the Crazies, Chet Lehman, MTN News.